Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your Vedic astrology coach Rajat Kapoor, and welcome to my channel, The Legit Astrologer. In my channel, I make videos on Vedic astrology. I talk about transits. In the recent times, I have made a number of videos on Saturn's transit in the sign of Pisces. Also, a video on Saturn's transit over the natal planets and how it is going to have an impact, along with video on Jupiter's transit and Rahu and Ketu's transit as well. These videos are available on my channel. Today, I'm going to again spend some time and focus on Saturn. I'm going to keep it short and simple. There's a lot that's being said about some of the negative or malefic influences of Saturn, or so-called negative aspects around Sade Sati, Saturn's transit in 4th house from the moon, Saturn's transit in 8th house from the moon. So I'm going to remove certain myths and bring in a sense of positivity when it comes to Sade Sati, which is the 7.5-year period of Saturn, and why it is not always malefic, it is not always bad. It is eventually a very important phase in life which fosters growth, which brings in new opportunity, which transforms us, makes us become more mentally and emotionally strong, which also focuses on bringing a lot of discipline in our life, in our physical health as well. Now, whether you're going through Sade Sati period, whether you're going through Saturn 4th from the moon, whether you're going through Saturn 8th from the moon, you must understand a few things before making any assessment in terms of the result. Firstly, the strength of Saturn in your birth chart, the kind of lordship it has. What is Saturn's relationship with the moon and also with other planets? What are the kind of yogas that Saturn is forming in your chart? The dasha period, most importantly, the planetary period, the major periods, the sub periods, and the sub periods, and furthermore the transits that are happening alongside to support your dasha antardasha. Whether Saturn is a benefic or a malefic from your ascendant, and what are the kind of connections it is making. Who are the planets that are aspecting your Saturn, and what is the kind of overall bal or strength that Saturn has, which is very important. So these factors have to be taken into account to make a clear assessment in terms of whether Sade Sati will be beneficial for you, whether it will bring some challenges, and also when Saturn makes a transit 4th from your moon or 8th from your moon, what is that you can expect. Sade Sati of Saturn, Sade Sati, it is 7.5. This is the period of Saturn's transit over your natal moon. So we see the placement of your natal moon. The 7.5 period talks about 3 transits of Saturn. Each transit is 2.5 years long. Capricorn moon signs have ended their Sade Sati. So if you're feeling good at the psychological level, congratulations. Now let's explore all of these 3 phases in a lens of transformation, karmic refinement, and soul evolution. So these are the 3 keywords that Sade Sati phase does bring in our life, and it is very important. In my experience, I have seen a number of people significantly growing through their Sade Sati phase. I am one of the example. I have countless other examples as well, because this is a phase of learning, this is a phase of transformation. And Saturn has entered the sign of Pisces. This is where Aries moon sign have started their Sade Sati period, which is the first phase of the 7.5 period. So when it is now in Pisces, Aries moon sign have started their first phase. The first phase is called rising or Udaya. Let's talk about the first phase of Sade Sati when it is transiting 12th from your natal moon. So this phase is all about detachment. It is about introspection. It is about preparation. So you're preparing yourself for what is coming ahead in the next 7.5 years. And remember, Saturn doesn't create turmoil from day one. It's a very slow moving planet. It takes its own time to give good results. It takes its own time to give some of the difficult results as well. So this phase clearly indicates mental and emotional baggage for you to discover what are those things that act as a baggage for yourself. It takes you back to the old times, right? Because Saturn is a karmic planet. It takes you back to your past, some decisions that you've taken, some attachments that you have, illusions that you have, and gradually it will start dissolving. You begin yourself detaching yourself from things, from people, from events. This is eventually for your long-term growth. See, because Saturn eventually wants you to grow, be it in relationship, be it in your habits or your comfort zones. But first, it will push you out of your comfort zone. It is helping you step out of comfort zone. It is helping you remove all the negativity in your life, the baggages that you carry around your relationship, some habits that you have, time to let go some of these habits. Eventually, this is the kind of message that Saturn gives. It urges a lot of reflection, more at the spiritual level. You can connect with your deeper truths, because when you are on a discovery phase, when you're trying to evaluate your relationships, your habits, you need to discover what is missing and how your life could be better. You learn financial discipline during this phase. So this is very important, because Saturn would bring down your expenditure. Of course, it could happen through hardship as well, through some financial roadblocks, but it will avoid you to make any wasteful expenditures. This is definitely curbed during this time, either the easy way or the hard way. So one thing as a prep that someone must do before entering their Sade Sati phase is to save finances for any difficult times, to sail through any of the challenging times. Those people who like to travel, those who have travel related work or jobs, they generally would excel during the Sade Sati phase, because Saturn doesn't let you settle at one place. It is very good for learning. It is very good for education. So people or students who have educational pursuits, higher education, because you need a lot of solitude when you are studying, and Saturn pushes you towards that solitude by making you step out of your comfort zone. So in this phase, you really get to expand your inner world. This is the phase when you should probably spend time and understand who are the elders around you and what is that you can do, and be prepared to bring a sense of discipline. Be prepared to face your own sorrows in life, certain things that you have to eventually let go. This will happen in the second phase. So each phase of Sade Sati is a preparation phase for you. It is always a process. The biggest life lesson in the first phase of Sade Sati is to detach, to realign, to let go, so you can grow. Pisces moon sign have started their second phase, because now Saturn is over your natal moon. The second phase is a bit contradictory, because in Sanskrit terms it is called Madhya, which means medium. So I would probably not have any hesitation in saying that it has medium impact. But one of the translations is also the peak phase of Sade Sati. Now it is peak phase, it is intense, but the effects are medium. Let us now talk about the second phase of Sade Sati, which we call Madhya, or it is the peak. Now Madhya also means medium, so its effect over the moon is pretty much medium, but this is an intense time period. This is when your Sade Sati is at peak, because this is all about emotional maturity now, your inner strength and how you could be more pure. So there's a lot of purification that is happening, and when purification happens, it definitely helps you in the long run. So there is a certain sense of suffering as well. Saturn's second phase of Sade Sati is more like a karmic heart surgery, because this is where the real emotional cleansing would happen. So first phase, you try to understand what are the baggages that you carry. Now it is time for you to permanently let go some of those baggages. You develop a sense of resilience, endurance, and a lot of emotional strength. This period is helping you gain a lot of mature perspective, because understand, Saturn is a mature planet. So whenever it crosses over your moon, whenever it comes in contact with your moon, moon is mind, Saturn is a cold planet. Saturn also has a lot of depth. So it is making someone a deep thinker at the mental level. Those who are having a natal connection of Saturn and moon in their chart are most impacted by Sade Sati. For others, it could not have so much of an impact, or if these planets play a vital role in your dasha antardasha, then of course you can have a further more impact. But it helps you to break your emotional dependencies in the second phase. You rise above some of your old patterns. You're pushed to take responsibilities, because Sade Sati phase brings responsibilities in your life. It brings a sense of ownership in your life. You're pushed to take control, take charge of your own life. You will stop blaming others. So one of the good remedies in a Sade Sati phase is to stop blaming others. Take ownership of your own work, of your own responsibilities. It is a powerful time to build something that is a long-lasting solution, that is a long-lasting line of work for you. So a lot of focus is put towards career, towards self-growth, and also towards spiritual discipline, because your sense of accountability and ownership is at a higher side, and this is where we must make the most of it. I always advise people to take account of the sign that Saturn is making a transit over your moon, which is your moon sign, and worship that lord, worship that planet, do remedies related to planets. So for example, if it is in sign of Pisces at present, then it becomes Jupiter. So for you, it is important that you worship Lord Shiva or do any remedies related to Jupiter, whether it is mantra based remedy, yantra based remedy, diet related remedies, or any prayer related remedies. You have to pacify Jupiter. You have to build your Jupiter's strength. Similarly, if it is making a transit over Mercury sign, you have to look up to Mercury. Venus, you have to look up to Venus, and so on and so forth. The life lesson in the second phase of Sade Sati is all about stability, because this time period is pushing you towards stability. In order to become stable in life, you have to go through certain turmoil. So stability comes from within. This is something which you must understand, and this is where you build your inner foundation. This is the key message of the second phase of Sade Sati. Aquarius moon signs have started their third phase of Sade Sati, which is called Antya, or it is the setting time of the Sade Sati when it is second from your natal moon. This is the time period for manifestation, for consolidation. Whatever you've done over the last 5 years, now you need to consolidate. Now you need to master your learnings, your skills, your development. It is your time to obtain mastery. You will start to see certain rewards of your hard work, of your discipline, of your organizational skills, of whatever lessons you have learned, either the easy way and mostly the hard way. So it is time for financial as well as material stability. So things at the financial front definitely improves. You're very much aligned with Saturn's way of doing things, which is Saturn's principle. Saturn demands discipline. It demands slow and steady pace. It demands a lot of hard work. It demands effort, and also it demands growth. It also demands you to own your sorrow, own your weaknesses, and how you could counter those weaknesses, how you could translate your weaknesses into your strengths. The relationships that you've been able to survive in the last 5 years become more deeper. They become more authentic, more meaningful. They are your true relationships that you have, because the last 5 years would have made you realize to cut certain ties from people and to disconnect with certain negative energies or those people who have a negative influence on your life. Communication really becomes more mindful, more impactful, because you have a certain sense of maturity. You will think before you would speak. You become more wiser, more grounded, and at the same time you're spiritually elevated if you've gone through the right lessons during this phase. So this is where your energy is. In the third phase of Sade Sati, it is always advisable to do certain donations with regards to laborers, construction workers, helpers. Donate, feed the needy, because this is second from your moon. So who are all those people who need, and you feed them, because second house is the house of consumption from your moon. So what is that you could let go, the best that you could do as far as donations are concerned, and this is where you would feed the people who are directly related to Saturn, and this is all the labor class, all the workers, your helpers. Take care of them, protect them, respect them, reward them at the right time for the right purpose. The biggest life lesson in the third and the most vital phase of Sade Sati is that you harvest your karmic wisdom. You will teach what you've lived in the last 5 years. Let me also talk about two other transits of Saturn that are perceived to be negative when it is making a transit 4th from the moon and when it is making a transit 8th from the moon. So this in the current transit applies to Sagittarius moon signs and to Leo moon sign, because for Sagittarius, Saturn is making a transit 4th from your natal moon, and for Leo moon signs, Saturn is making a transit in the 8th house from your natal moon. This is called Shani Dhaiya. The word Dhaiya itself means 2.5 years. That is derived from Dhai. Now, when Saturn makes a transit 8th from the moon, it is called Ashtama Shani. And when Saturn makes a transit 4th from the moon, it is called Ardha Ashtama Shani. That means half of 8, which means 4th. Sometimes people call it Kantak Shani as well, which is a very wrong term, because the word Kantak is very negative. We must avoid. It should be called Ardha Ashtam. Kantak in the literal sense means spike, something that could hit you or bite you really hard. Let me talk about Saturn's transit 4th house from your moon, which we call Ardha Ashtama Shani. This results in certain challenges related to home, related to your mother, your assets, vehicle, property, because force from your moon or force from your ascendant is related to some of these things. So whichever house Saturn makes a transit, it creates a sense of burden. Since 8th house from the moon Saturn is not a very auspicious transit, it does bring in some work related obstacles. 4th house again is a half malefic transit. It does bring certain positive aspects as well, but it will probably make you feel heavy at the mental or the emotional level, because 4th house is also your house of protection, your safe space. So you might feel unstable, you will feel certain obstacles which will eventually help you get out of your comfort zone. So it affects your peace of mind usually. So you will have certain dissatisfaction at your workplace, you will have certain sense of desires, but on a spiritual side it is very good, because 4th house from your moon is the first stepping stone towards spirituality. So this is how you must link this transit. When Saturn makes a transit 8th from your moon, which is Ashtama Shani, this brings in deep transformation, but all transformation will only come if you come across strong obstacles, if you come across losses. At the mental level, it is difficult because this could affect your workplace, because Saturn will be aspecting your 10th house from the moon by the 3rd aspect. So this could bring in some work related hardships initially. Eventually it will help you grow. You will have health issues, so you will become more focused towards your health. You will be able to deal with your inner anxiety. Any fatigue that you will come across with, you will learn how to deal with it. You will own all your problems, whether they are usual problems or chronic problems. You will have the ownership. You will not run away from your problems. Of course, this is going to bring in certain difficulties in your relationship and inheritance matters as well. But that is a time when you will try and let go and surrender yourself towards spiritual growth, because this is the way you will introspect and make very good decisions in your life. See, you must remember and understand the wider purpose of Shani Dhaiya, whether it is making a transit 4th house from your moon or the 8th house from your moon. It will slow you down in these matters to re-evaluate your attachments with regards to that house, the lord of the house, and of course matters related to that house. It will teach you patience, discipline, and also responsibility, which is very important. It will bring in a lot of maturity. It will force you to confront your fears and your reality. It will help you to own your reality. Now, Sade Sati is always a blessing in disguise. Why? Because Saturn is not a punisher. He is a great teacher. He is the spiritual architect. He is one of the most important planets when it comes to uplifting yourself at a spiritual level. If approached with a lot of awareness, humility, and also integrity, because this is something which Saturn demands. He is the ultimate justice. He controls law and order. Therefore, Sade Sati becomes your time of reinvention, inner awakening, how you can awaken your inner soul and become more aware of yourself and your surroundings. A lot of karmic clearance is also needed around this time, and you get a sense of mastery over your time. You have a sense of managing this time in a better way. Your responsibility, you become a more responsible person and a very focused individual, because your priorities are very clear towards the end of Sade Sati, because it happens the easy way or the hard way. Think of it from a sense that your soul's Saturn return is like a boot camp. Okay, if you've been to a boot camp or if you've experienced situation becomes so difficult for you and you have to work really hard, you have to do everything, certain times you have to work with others as well. This is a series of events that help you shape your skills, understand knowledge, gain skills, and at the same time shape your skills. Do a lot of practice in any of the boot camp. A lot of practice is involved and you're able to shape into your higher self during this phase. During your soul's Saturn return boot camp, you really shape yourself into your higher self. Certain remedies, most importantly, for any malefic transit, for any challenging transit of Saturn, whichever house it goes through, you must chant Saturn's Mool mantra, that is Om Sham, to pacify Saturn. You cannot always do the Shani mantra, but the Bija mantra is something which everyone can do. You could recite Hanuman Chalisa, you could worship Lord Hanuman, you could worship Lord Shiva, you can do a Rudra Abhishek. In case Saturn holds a malefic disposition in your chart, you can fast on Saturdays. Do a lot of charity work related to labors, especially on Saturday. You can donate sesame seeds, mustard oil, sesame oil, black clothes, black chickpeas. If Saturn is benefic, then you consume these items. You don't have to give away them, then you have to consume. You have to, most importantly, from a karmic alignment point of view, stay ethical about your decisions, disciplined and humble at the same time. So respect your co-workers, respect your helpers and your laborers. Avoid any shortcuts because there is no scope of shortcuts, a sense of dishonesty and any harm that you could cause to other people. So all in all, the sense of growth, responsibility, wisdom, hard work and success is something that eventually Saturn wants to give you regardless of its transit through any house. Saturn's transit is slow, it is Gajagati, it walks like a pace of an elephant at its own will. When it wants to give you, it will give you. We must remember that and we must grow with Shani. Thank you very much. God bless you all.